Sometimes words can be misleading. Did you know in Genesis chapter 11 verses 1, at one point of time, all people in the earth spoke a single language. Can you imagine how manipulative some people could have been? At the same time, there might have been some good people out there, but nevertheless, sin prevailed and people got confused because so many words were misused, so many words were thrown out of proportion. My friends, today we are going to talk about the difference between words and covenant with God. And before I say anything further, I want you to understand words have the power to give life. Words can build someone up, can give life to someone. At the same time, Satan manipulates words and destroys people. My friends, when you come across a situation where some words have really hurt you, some words have really broken you out, I think you need to go back to God and say, Lord, give me a spirit of healing. I want to know you. I want to know your words, because your words soothe me. Your words build me up. When man speaks words, there may be some shallow falls, there may be some really deep falls, there may be some joy, some grace. Sometimes there may be lies, there may be anger. But nevertheless, when a human speaks, it's just words. However, when God speaks, for example, in Genesis 21 verses 1, the Lord kept his word to Sarah. He did what he promised to her he would do, and she became a blessing. Now, God keeps his word, and that's why he is God. In the world today, there may be very few people who keep their word. Look for friends who keep their word, so that God will use people to touch you in your life. If you're going to work, if you're at a hostel, if you're a homemaker, if your neighborhood is filled with so many unnecessary people, I think the best way to look for good people is to see how many people keep their word. Covenant is something really, really important. The definition of covenant is where two entities or two institutions, or in some cases even countries, make covenants with each other. It means two people understand the rules needed to sustain each other. Now, God keeps his covenant all time. That's why he is God. Whereas human beings, we are all born with sin. And all of us, not one of us, are perfect. But there are times where we get up, we fall again, we get up. And that's the nature of human beings. Today, we are going to talk about the importance of covenants and keeping them in our life. Covenant keepers are friends with God, or in other words, covenant keepers become friends of God. Now, when you keep your side of the covenant, what happens? God moves a mile forward and he begins to do unbelievable things in our life. Yes, my friends, when God begins to do things, sometimes we might not even understand what God is doing in our life. God tells Habakkuk, I am not going to tell you what I am going to do to you, because you might not believe it. James 2:23, the scriptures say, Abraham was accounted for righteousness. God counted him as righteous. Because of his faith, he was even called the friend of God. He passed emotional tests. He passed failure tests. He passed unbelievable obedience to God. He even passed geographical stress on his body by walking miles with his family, taking all the insults. I'm sure people must have been angry and upset with him for making people walk for so many miles. 1,300 miles, it says. When you go back and read the geography, several thousand years back in the day of Abraham, the geography was really bad. And he overcame all that, and he passed unbelievable tests as a father, as a husband, child of God, as a believer. He passed all these tests. God kept his covenant, and Abraham kept his side of the covenant. My friends, if God expects you to do certain things in faith, if God is asking you to move on forward with your life, not turning back, I would ask you to keep your side of the covenant, because God is going to do great things in your life. Most times as human beings, we take words very, very lightly, and because of changing situations all around us, sometimes many of us take God's words for granted. I'm hereby encouraging you all, keep your covenant with God, and God has unbelievable things planned out for all of you. Remember, human words will fail, but God's covenant will never fail, and it will take you to another level in your faith life. God bless you all. Stay safe. See you soon.